Horror movies having TV series spin-offs isn't something completely uncommon that we've never heard of before. Look at shows like the Scream series and even the Hannibal series. Yeah, they weren't the most popular series and they did end up getting canceled after a short amount of time, but it was still refreshing to know that horror movies were able to spin off and make something out of a series. That all changed when we were introduced to the Chucky TV series in 2021. This series has somehow managed to simultaneously revive an entire franchise as well as inspire a lot of other movies to try and go the spin-off series route as well. From explaining year-long mysterious tropes to allowing young people to explore their true identities, the Chucky TV series has done it all. And for all of these reasons alone, I feel that this TV series deserves its own video apart from the Child's Play ranking video I made previously. So that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Haydxn and today we are going to be taking a dive into the Chucky TV series and talking about how it completely changed the landscape of horror. So without further ado, let's get into it. As I said a little bit ago, the Chucky TV series was introduced in 2021. This series brought a whole new meaning to the Chucky franchise entirely. Not only were we introduced to insanely likable characters like Jake, Lexi, and Devin, but we also were able to revisit old characters like Kyle and Andy, Tiffany Valentine, and even several flashbacks to Charles Lee Ray before he was in the doll. Being reintroduced to Andy wasn't something too crazy considering he was in the movies that this series was supposed to be a sequel to, but bringing back Kyle was definitely an incredible move considering we had all wondered what happened to her since the Child's Play 2 movie. In the Chucky TV series, her and Andy are basically bounty hunters, and they're traveling the world looking for any Chucky doll that Chucky might have splintered his soul into so they can take it out right then and there. It's an incredible way to show the dynamic between them, as well as explain what they've been up to these past few years when they weren't on screen. But one of the main focal points are the flashbacks of Charles Lee Ray. The TV series was able to explain not only his childhood and his teenage years, but what exactly it was that led him to the moments before the shootout with the police where he originally got into the Chucky doll. It showed us how he first met Tiffany Valentine and how their relationship was always splintered like we thought it was, and it just gave us the backstory that we needed to understand why Charles Lee Ray was this psychopathic serial killer. Because up until now, we'd only gotten a handful of excuses here and there, a handful of flashbacks and memories being talked about, but this series actually explained everything in detail, and that is something that we definitely needed to happen. Apart from revisiting old paths and old characters, this series did introduce a lot of new likable characters, as I said. Jake, Lexi, and Devin are one of the most likable friend groups that I have ever seen in a horror franchise, and I solely think it's the fact that they were all able to bond over wanting to get rid of Chucky in the first place. We did have another friend to this group in Junior, but sadly, he obviously got killed off in the very first season. Chucky was able to get to him and make him go crazy first, and for that reason entirely, Chucky was able to start an army of his own good guy dolls. I'm talking, there were like hundreds of these things just running around. In doing this, the Chucky franchise was able to bring back the brutality that I myself have been missing since the early Child's Play days. I always say I miss just the brutal and scariness of the Chucky doll. While yeah, it's okay to be funny and to have these comedy moments, I do miss when Chucky was actually a scary force. This series perfectly brought that back and they tackled it in so many ways and they made so many things possible for Chucky. They showed you the true strength of Chucky and that he is something that you just simply cannot keep down, which we kind of already knew at this point considering there's like 50 million movies. But another thing the series was able to do was explain why Chucky wanted to splinter himself in the doll and explain how it happened. I said in the Child's Play ranking video on my channel that I didn't really like Cult of Chucky, and the reason for that is because I felt like it just poorly explained the whole splitting your soul into doll thing. So now that we had an entire series and a lot of episodes to catch up on with it, it made it make a lot more sense, and I feel like it was explained 50 times better than it was in Cult of Chucky. And since this was an entire series, not only did we get a lot of backstory on the whole soul splintering thing and Charles Lee Ray himself, but we also got to revisit Glenn and Glenda. We finally got an explanation on what happened to them on the years after Seed of Chucky and the path that they sort of went down of their own, which is also something that a lot of fans of the franchise have been wondering about. This series also made Nika a very, very prominent character. We knew since she was introduced in The Curse of Chucky that she was going to be some sort of important character, but this series kind of revolved around her in several ways. Not only did she play Brad Dourif in all of the flashback scenes, which is her real life father, but she also simultaneously played her own character on the show as well. She is a very big reason that Tiffany Valentine got caught and sent to prison in the first place. A lot of people would call this series a very niche series, meaning that you need to be a fan of the Chucky franchise to actually watch the show and appreciate it for what it is. But I personally think that this show was able to bring back so much that even if you aren't necessarily a fan of the movies themselves, you can actually sit down and watch the show and be able to enjoy it. They do a tremendous job at explaining everything. The action and the kill scenes are obviously incredible. This show really plays to real life issues like bullying and people coming out when they don't feel comfortable about it. It basically has everything that you want to get invested into a series or a movie or a franchise. And it's like they just constantly keep coming back with more and more ideas. Like the latest season, season 3, Chucky was literally in the White House. Before this, he was in some Catholic church and having some exorcism performed on him. Speaking of exorcism, the exorcism actually infected his voodoo magic, so Chucky started to age and he couldn't get himself into another human body. So we got to see old Chucky as well as Chucky dying and being a ghost in the whole haunted world, and that showed us Charles Lee Ray in ghost form going around the White House and haunting people. There's just a never-ending story building here. Unfortunately, as of this exact moment, a season 4 has yet to be announced, and it honestly seems like cast members themselves don't even know if it's going to be announced either. I would imagine that a season 4 is probably going to get announced soon, considering the popularity of this series in general. And when I'm saying it's a good series, I'm not just saying it because I'm a fan of Chucky or a fan of the entire franchise overall. I'm saying it because it is genuinely a really good TV show. I remember being excited when it first came out, and that excitement has held up all the way to now. 3 years ago is when we got the first season, and 3 years later I am still praying and hoping that they have a season 4. Although I will say, if they have a season 4, I'm not sure where they will go with it, considering the cliffhanger that ended season 3. But like I said, it is Don Mancini and it is Child's Play, so anything can happen and anything will happen. Horror movie spin-off shows is making a comeback, and I do believe that it is because of the Chucky TV series. It's able to explain so much more than a movie and go into so much more detail, as well as add funny and unneeded things at the end of the seasons, like Chucky sitting by a campfire or at a desk in the Oval Office and giving us his own version of a kill count. Things like that keep the franchise and the genre fresh and new feeling, and I can't wait for more of it to come in the future. So would I say go and watch this Chucky series? 100% I would say go and watch this Chucky series. Have you seen the Chucky series yourself? If so, comment down below what you thought about it, or comment down below after watching this video if you think you should watch it or shouldn't watch it and why. That's gonna be it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, then be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you're gonna subscribe to the channel, you might as well click the notification bell as well, because it is literally right next to it. My name is Haydxn. It was a pleasure having you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!